Hi everyone, yes, it's Thursday night, 9 o'clock. It's time for our flagship rugby betting show, the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters. We've got plenty of games to talk about this weekend. For Reed popping on in the live chat saying he can't wait for this weekend. Almost 40 games if it wasn't for the Wasps game getting cancelled. And yes, we'll be talking about a good few though this week. We're going to look at the Women's Rugby World Cup. We'll look at the United Rugby Championship. And of course, we're down to the semi-finals there in the Bunnings NPC. So we'll get Hendrik's views on that as well. If you've missed our World Cup rugby show with Harry Jones, you can catch that on our YouTube channel, but we'll cover the games in a little bit of depth on this show as well. But let's welcome the guest. And I must say he's looking a lot clearer this week than he was last week. Oraclepedia, or Oracle Rugby, as we know him. Gavin, mate, welcome back to the show. And let me start by saying, well done on your bet with the conductor. There were 3 bets, and you won 2-1, which meant $500 profit.
Yeah, listen, before I start and, revel in my victory and all of that, I just have to say, the conductor, if you think I'm a good punter, the conductor's far better than me. Why? Because he's got a lot. I don't believe he works. I think he sits there, he's got 18 hours a day to study, and he knows every player. I mean, he was talking about last week, he was talking about festivals and towns. I mean, who knows that? Seriously, follow the conductor. He knows far more than me. And I have utmost respect for him. And yes, I've got a smile on my face because I beat you. I beat you, the conductor. I beat you. And am I happy? Of course I'm happy. And I got to tell you, it must have been painful to press the submit button and type in my account number. Absolutely. I know that because I've paid you before. But listen, I'm just excited that I beat you. That's all. I'm sorry you had a bad weekend. And I legitimately am sorry. And I respect you. And you're a far better punter than me. And where I'm going here is it's just utmost respect. Yes, I beat him. It's like one of those. I played a guy once at tennis, and he said to me, like, win a set and I'll give you money. And I just won a game. I was happy. So that's where I am with the conductor. He's far better than me. I'm a 51-year-old punter. Yes, I'm good. Sure. I'll admit to that. But am I as good as Henrik and the conductor? No ways. These guys are far better than me, so utmost respect.
Excellent. Well, the conductor is not here tonight. I believe he's playing a bit of action cricket. Can you picture that? I can imagine a couple of hammies going tonight and plenty of sledging there from the conductor.
I might beat him at that.
We'll see how things go during the show. Maybe I'll have a bet with you, Gab. We haven't had one for a while. And I'm also pleased you got the word legitimately out of the way nice and early in the show because I'm not fancying your chances towards the end. Let's go down to Henrik Swart, the Undertaker. Henrik, good to have you back in the studio. You had a quietish weekend fishing last week. I imagine you still had a few punts, sir?
Yeah, Brent, I did have a few punts, and most of my money actually made on the Women's World Cup. There was some nice value early on there, and yeah, I didn't watch your show at 7 o'clock this evening with Harry. On purpose, I didn't watch it, so I wouldn't be influenced with my picks. I have no idea what Harry or you, what you fancied on that show. I'll watch tomorrow morning. I'll watch your show. So I'll give my opinion on the games. Yeah, Gavin, I reckon you are selling yourself a bit short there. You are an excellent punter, very experienced. You've been around the block. That's the thing. I've said it before as well. In punting, experience is very important. So yeah, you're definitely selling yourself short. You're a very good punter, and yeah, we can all learn from you. So yeah, I always enjoy your opinion on everything, on the games, and also on the punting side, because there's lots of strategies that you have to follow in punting.
Just one thing, Gav. Alex is asking, Oracle, did you put money on that Wales v Scotland draw? And I mean, we were all on Wales as a best bet. I mean, thankfully that landed, and we'll talk about a little bit more about that later. But I mean, I remember saying I was with family, we were away for the weekend, and all I could say to everyone was, Oracle's on the draw. Can you believe it? Oracle's on the draw. Did you have money on it?
I did. It was a lonely 50 Rand, as I've put in the post over there. That's all it was. And I'm sure you guys will know, you can't go stick massive money on a draw unless you're covering a position and you're really worried about that point, but you can't do it. So, yeah, I think the biggest I've ever put on a draw, maybe 120, 130, but generally $100 is the maximum, 50 Rand for a bit of fun. And if I'm teasing somebody in the lounge while they're watching the game, I'll put a extremely lonely 20 Rand on it. That's it. Not a big
You
bet.
can't back rugby's not a game you can back the draw with confidence. I remember once watching in a pub in Johannesburg, and I had 250 rand. Brendan, O'Connor, and myself each had 250 rand on the draw about 15 years ago at 25-1. It was Reds against the Lions, and Latham broke through in the last minute to score under the post to make it a draw. And I mean, we went berserk, and yes, we got some dirty looks in that pub. But gents, let's get into the United Rugby Championship. Henrik, I'm going to start with you. The first game I want to cover here, Ospreys plus 5.5 against the Stormers. We've also got a points line of 48.5.
Brent, interesting one. This Stormers, they've been super impressive so far. I don't really like the changes they've made to their team. I just about half an hour ago, I checked the Stormers and the Ospreys team. Yeah, Ospreys, they brought back a few guys, and they've actually been a bit impressive as well. 2 weeks ago, last week, they got smashed by Ulster. I didn't watch the game. I saw the result. But, yeah, interesting one. You probably have to fancy the Stormers on the minus because the Welsh teams, I like taking on the Welsh teams. But I'm not, like I said, I don't like the team the Stormers have picked, the changes they've made. They've made 7 changes to the starting lineup. So on the handicap, I'm very undecided here. I'm not sure which way to go. Points-wise, you can have 2 arguments with all the changes. You can say, yeah, it will be an open game, and it's almost they do play a positive type of game. And 48 looks low then because Ospreys, apart from last week, the week before, they scored a few points as well, so they can score. They are at home, but then you can also have the argument of there's changes, so there's combinations that don't know each other that well. I see Alapatila Yua is starting for the Stormers. I think that if he has played before this year, it shows how I haven't watched all the games, but yeah, I see he's starting. And yeah, Clayton Blommetjies, you don't really know what to expect from Blommetjies. He can be on and off. So, yeah, like you can probably hear, I'm undecided here. If pushed, I'll probably go overs because there has been a few high-scoring games in the URC, especially when it's 2 different countries' teams against each other. So, no opinion on the handicap here for me. Maybe the minus, but yeah, probably overs on total points for me, but not strong.
Darren mentioned he likes to look at that Stormers bench, and Farid reckons the Stormers defense will be too strong. Welcome to the Crow Tips, who's also joined the show. Now you can catch him and possibly me tomorrow. We're not sure exactly how it's going to pan out. Let's talk about the Gallagher Premiership at 1:30, and that's after the team sheets are out, so we can get a more accurate reflection. We'll also perhaps touch on some of the unfortunate circumstances as well with the Gallagher Premiership, with clubs coming under serious financial trouble. But let's go up and get Oracle's view on this Stormers game. Oracle, minus 5.5 the Stormers.
Just before I get involved in that, Brent, are you seeing the Crow in Poland, or is he coming to Joburg, or on the internet?
No, it'll be on the show. He's ensconced in Poland. He's married. He's got 3 wives now. I understand there. He's having a great time.
Listen, if you got 3 wives, and I'm going to suggest there's at least 1 kid there, it's better than having 1 wife and 3 kids. So yeah, he's doing quite well then. All right, let's talk about the Stormers game. So initially, I actually wrote down 13 points here. So I'm seeing a single digit, and I'm thinking, well, either 14 of the 15 Stormers aren't playing, and there's only 1 guy taking on the Ospreys, because I backed the Ospreys against Ulster, and that was my downfall with the conductor last week. Otherwise, I would have got a full bag of 3 out of 3. I'm still going to tell you that Stormers minus 5.5 is not enough. This team beat that Zebre team, and I went for them, and I'm going to go for them again later. We'll talk about that game just now. Stormers played far better than I expected, and even if they lose a couple of players, and I don't know all those players, and I don't know who they're missing, but honestly, this just looks a digit missing. It's one of those games. I just look at this 5.5, and I think something's wrong here. This is odd. So, yeah, I'm a minus Stormers punters here. Minus Stormers punter, sorry, not punters, punter. And, this is probably my second best bet of the weekend. I think this is serious value. and it's a Friday night game. And if you lose, you've still got time to get out of it for Saturday. I'm a minus punter here all the way.
Right, we'll stick with you for the next.
Sorry, just talking about the points. I know it's sitting at about 50, but I don't know if this other team can get more than 15. So to get to the 50, or if you're an overs punter here, Stormers have to score 35 against sort of a 10 or 12 or 9. I just can't see this Ospreys team scoring a lot of points. I think this will be Stormers all the way here, like properly minus. You can take a bigger ones.
I also like the Stormers here, I must say, but I am with Henrik as well. I do think the Ospreys are capable of scoring, and I think we could. Overs is sort of where I'm leaning at this point. But Oracle, let's stick with you for the other Friday night game. Connacht against Leinster. We got plus 11.5. I just want to, before I bring you in, I handicapped this game at Connacht plus 12.5. So it's very much where I capped it. I think early doors, you could get something like Leinster minus 6.5, minus 7.5. So the money has come for the visitors here.
It's not enough, Brent. For me, this is a minus. It's a 20 plus. I know I did the same thing last week, and that's where I sort of fell a little bit short. The Sharks played a lot better than I thought they would. Leinster were like almost thinking they'd won the game, and they woke up finally in the second half and won it. But honestly, against that Sharks team last week, they should have won by 30 plus. I'm expecting the same thing this week. This should be 30, 35, 40 points. I mean, I know I'm speaking outside of, the box or what's normally expected. But seriously, Leinster should win this game comfortably. It's not enough here. Minus for me all the way.
Right, now I know when I go down to Henrik, Mark Dunphy is now going to start paying close attention. Is Henrik going to go for Leinster on the handicap? He never does. Let's see what he does here. Henrik, first of all, when the cap opened minus 6.5, did you have any interest there at all? And what do you think of the current line?
Brent, I didn't see the opening line on this one. This is one of the games that I didn't check the opening line. It's interesting that you mentioned Mark Dunphy. Now, I wanted to say this one is for Mark Dunphy. I'm going to go for Leinster on the minus. This is a very rare minus for me on Leinster. I love taking Leinster on, and like I've said before, there's lots of value. There's no value in Leinster ever, in my opinion. But I reckon this week there is a bit of value. I reckon because Connacht beat Munster last week, the bookies are valuing them more, overvaluing them more than they should, because Munster are going on previous years how they've been, but Munster, they're terrible at the moment, and so Connacht is overrated on this game, in my opinion. I'm looking at the two teams here on my other laptop at the moment, and I see Leinster has made a few changes, but I'm a big fan of Charlie Natai and Gary Ringrose, so that's very good centre combination. That Furlong is back for Leinster. Yeah, I'm on the minus here. I would have been all over the -6 actually, strangely enough. I feel I'm comfortable going for Leinster on the minus. I don't like it, but -10.5. I see there's -10.5 still available. That is a great bet in my opinion, even though they're playing in Galway at the sports ground. And the weather looks good as well. So I think, and the way Leinster play, they're gonna score points. 51.5. Yeah, I'll probably just go for Leinster points on this one. All in on Leinster on this game. Doesn't feel right, but yeah, that's my call.
It doesn't feel right. I like that one, Henrik. Right, let's stick with you for the next game. We've got the Lions up against Ulster. Plus,
I'm impressed that you're asking Henrik before me on the Lions game. This is great. I haven't needed this before.
He's keeping you for last for a reason.
Yeah. And I would hate Henrik to be influenced by your Lions bet. Now, I'm just teasing. I know he wouldn't. But Henrik, two things to discuss here. Obviously, the handicap, and then total points line. We had a bit of a discussion on Twitter about this one. And Brendan was kind of saying, the conductor, this looks like the trap. And I mean, I think you're pretty much in agreement with that. Because let's face it, if this was a Curry Cup game in decent conditions, albeit a bit hot, you overs every day of the week. But when these overseas sides come out here, and I think of the Edinburgh game last year, they do everything they can to slow the game down at altitude. And that makes taking over 50.5 points a risk. And I venture from your tweets that you might even be thinking unders here.
Brent, and can you blame them? They have to play the conditions right. They can't go crazy with the altitude. Otherwise, I remember a few years back, Lions against the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes were playing like the Harlem Globetrotters for the first 30 minutes. They were up more than 20 points on the Lions, and they lost handsomely in the end. The Lions smashed them in the end. I was tweeting how the Lions were going to get smashed in that game, and the Hurricanes were all over them, whatever. And the Hurricanes just the altitude properly kicked in, and the Lions came back. Anyway, if I was a betting man, I would go for Gavin. I would bet that Gavin's going to be all over the Lions. Yeah, he's going to tell us that they've got the wrong favorite. But I like Ulster. Yeah, this is one of my stronger bets, actually. I think Ulster will play very clever on this one. 2 weeks ago, they lost against Leinster when I fancied them. Last week, they smashed, who did they play? Ospreys.
Ospreys, I think.
Yeah. I think 47-17, something like that. Ulster, they are a very good team, very well coached. They play a clever game. They've got good set pieces. So I think they will slow the game down, obviously, and they will decide when they want to play quicker against the Lions. But they will obviously preserve their lungs for the altitude, and I think they will have a very good kicking game, and they will be very good in the set pieces, something that the Lions are good at as well. They are good at the scrums and lineouts and stuff. But I think Ulster will do enough to win here, and I like Ulster very strong to win here. And obviously on the minus, what's the minus? Minus 2.5, minus 3.5 probably.
Minus 2.5 you can get.
Yeah, I reckon that's a very good bet. The Lions have been very impressive this year, but they have clearly been better, and the defense has actually improved a bit. But yeah, like I said, I expect Ulster to be better. And even though it looks like a trap, I think overs is still the way to go here. But I'll be on Ulster. I think 26.5 thereabouts. I see Steve Reed's comment, Bone Collector back. Sure, I've always been a massive fan of Willem Alberts, but he is so way over what he moves. He's not what he used to be. They've moved him to the locks. And, in my opinion, he's not at this level anymore. He's more of a Currie Cup player these days, even though in the past he used to be very good. So for me, Ulster and a minus, strong bet, and Ulster over 26.5.
Well, I'm just sensing we could have our first 500 Rand, the first of our three-legged accumulator bet coming up here, because there's quite a bit of support in the live chat for Ulster as well. A lot of people agreeing with Henrik, but Oracle, I'm going to suggest that Henrik is spot on with his call that you're on the Lions here.
Who are the Lions playing, Brent? No, honestly, jokes aside, listen, 2 weeks ago, I wasn't a believer. I'm back to a believer. I'm back to 2017. I'm sitting by that big umbrella thing that was behind me. Everyone knows that it's in the spare room. That, what do they call it? An elephant's trunk or something. Anyway, for me, I'm actually surprised here. I spoke to people after last week and I said, I'm expecting a double-digit plus here. I'm expecting 4-1 Lions, about the Lions win at home. And I'm presented with a plus 2.5, plus 3.5, 13-10, 12-10 win. And I sat and I looked at this for a couple of days and I thought to myself, you know what? Somebody has worked this out. And I'm going to go with him. Don't know who it is, but I would have backed him anyway. I know that I don't know exactly, so I'm not like privy to information here or anything like that, but I do believe that this Irish team and any other team that comes down to South Africa, are sending half a team or a three-quarter team or a 0.63 team or whatever it is. They only have to come here once. They're going to play 2 games and they go back. We go there, we got to go twice. So they're looking at this thinking, you know what, we don't mind, we'll blood a few youngsters, whatever it is, but they're going to go to Joburg and they're going to play a team that's going, wow, we can win this, and we can win this comfortably. And I know the game you were talking about, Henrik, I think the Hurricanes were 17-0 up in 12, 15 minutes. I remember that game. Listen, I'm not going massive here, but I'm going to say that at 13-10 about the board, I'm happy. I'm going Lions about the board. I've actually taken a small strike at minus 14.5, so 15 or more. Some of the companies have got 1 to 7, 8 to 14, 15 or more. I've taken the 15 or more. I've got 9 to 1. I've had a decent strike at that. I'm happy. That's if that wins, that's a weekend away, that kind of thing. I'm not going to build a house on it, but that's big. 10 to 1, about 15 or more. I'm happy. That's a big price. I have taken the 13-10 about the board. I'm happy. I'm not going to go with plus 2.5. I think there'll be a lot of points here, but honestly, I think these teams are. I'm going to use the non-swearing word. They're stuffing around. They're sending half a team to South Africa. I think it's not right. They need to maybe play 3 games here. I don't know what they're going to do, but they're going to make a longer tour that people respect the tour to South Africa a little bit more. I actually said to my son and a couple of mates the other day, I'm guessing that there'll be a little bit of respect about the Lions price on the weekend. It was more than I expected. At Lions at plus 2.5. I go back to that Super Rugby final. They were 9-10 against the Crusaders. Is this the same team as that? No, it's not. I'm not suggesting that. I just think that half an Ulster team that hasn't impressed. They beat a very bad Ospreys team. I think there's a lot of value about the Lions here at 13-10 at home and let's face it, this is 2 o'clock. This is not 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. This is 2 o'clock in the hot sun, Ellis Park. Sun's probably going to be at a 67, 70 degree angle. They're in huge trouble. They might compete for 55, 60 minutes. The Lions all the way for me. They'll win the game on the board.
Oracle. Brent, Gavin, so are we on for 500 Rand on a 3.5?
Yeah, let's do exactly what we did last week, Henrik. 100%. This is one of 3 legs. Find another 2. Even if we've spoken about them before, let's do 3 legs. I'm happy. Really. Okay. And listen, you're a beneficiary on my bank account. I have no problem pressing that button. Happy to do it.
So we'll find 3 bets. So Henrik, just how it worked last week. There were 3 bets between them. If you win,
you get 3, you get $1,000. You get 2-1, you get 500.
2-1, you get 500.
Say again.
If you get 3-0, if you win all 3 bets against Gavin, you win 1,000. And if you win 2-1, you win 500, and the other way around, of course, as well. But just to mention, Gav, I must say,
you still going in the last game. If you 2-0 down, you got 1 left, you can sort of save 500 Rand. I know it's not a lot for us, but it's good enough for me.
But I must just point out that particularly, all of the guys, the Irish guys there are pointing out it's very much a full-strength Ulster side. So I don't think they're sending any 0.63s. And they've also got some of the emerging Ireland players I see playing there. So I must admit,
hang on, Brent. Those guys have been living in Kimberley for 3 weeks. That's actually a negative, not a positive.
Team, but okay. Right, let's move on to the next game. For the record in that game, I am going overs. Like Henrik says, it could be the trap, but I still got a feeling it's the right bet. I might well look at one of the team's points as well. But Gavin,
you can't go understay.
Hey?
You can't go understay.
No, you can't. It'll be too nerve-wracking to go unders. Sharks, Gavin, this is in your old part of the world. Sharks minus 11.5 against Glasgow. I just want to quickly look what I priced this game at. I was minus 9.5, so pretty close. But it seems as though the money, Gavin, is coming for the Sharks.
Yeah, Brent, this is probably my best bet of the weekend. I'm going to say the Sharks win this game by close to 30. I think this is really way short. They did far better than I expected them to do against Leinster last week. They made a match out of what looked like. In fact, I think last week's handicap was the biggest out of all the games, and the Sharks played the best out of all of the teams. I just think this Glasgow, I backed them to beat the Bulls, but I think it's more bad Bulls than good Glasgow. I think the same thing as they send half a team or 3/4 of a team or whatever it is. Sharks need to win. They need to win badly. I think this can be closer to 30 than it is to 10. I'm on the minus here, and I'm very confident.
Right, nice confident selection by Gavin. Henrik, I'm going to tell you straight up.
Just one more thing. This is weather dependent. This kind of a bet I take very close to the start time. If there's a horrible storm or whatever it is in Durban, and I've been there, I lived there for 17 years. If there's horrible rain, you don't want to be anywhere near big minuses. So this is a kind of bet you want to take very close to the start of the game. But
there's a bit of rain.
I'm on the minus.
There is a bit of rain about on Saturday in Durban, but my feeling has been that in Durban, rain, then you go overs.
Yes, it's better than the humidity. As stupid as that, as ridiculous as that sounds. And Henrik, to bring you in here, just the one thing I do remember about the rain last season, I think they played Edinburgh at home in the rain, and I think Edinburgh won a low-scoring cup. But that was heavy torrential rain. But it was
8-7 or 7-6.
And we also know the Sharks are not, they're not renowned for landing the big minuses. But I'm looking at this and I'm going, Glasgow as well. If you look at their form on the road, they're a totally different side, or they appear to be a totally different side, home and away. So I'm with Oracle on this one. I'm going Sharks on the minus, and let's see how you go on this game. 49.5 total points.
Yeah, I agree, Brent. And Glasgow, they played the Bulls last week, right? They beat the Bulls.
Yes. I was on them. I got them at 15-10. I was very happy.
Well played. I fancied the
Bulls. No, it was bad
week.
Bulls. It was all bad Bulls. I went. Yeah, that was for me going against the Bulls rather than going for Glasgow.
Okay, but my one of my reasoning on that, and the conductor brought that up on Twitter early last week, why he said that Johan Goosen wouldn't play against Glasgow. That pitch of Glasgow, the 4G or 5G, I don't know what kind of pitch. That artificial pitch, I think that it plays into Glasgow's favour, and the Bulls, they're not used to that kind of pitch. So obviously now Glasgow, they're going to play on a normal grass turf in Durban. I see the Sharks will have a lot of box back for this one as well. There's talk of even it's a bit being back. I see Sia Kulisi and Bongi Madambi has been training this week, so they are in the mix to be picked. Brent, like you mentioned, the Sharks, they are not renowned for beating minuses, but I agree with you two guys. You probably have to be on the minus here. Glasgow, even they beat the Bulls last week. The week before, I think it was Ospreys. I fancied Glasgow heavily against Ospreys. They lost
to the Ospreys away, I think.
And they were well beaten against Ospreys. And the Ospreys, they were smashed last week against Ulster. So it's a bit tough reading form at the moment, but you can read a bit of form into that. You just have to go for the Sharks here, even though it looks like a bit of rain. It's not a lot of rain, so it won't be very wet, but there is a bit of rain about. But I actually think the conditions will be quite pleasant in Durban. So I think good conditions for the Sharks to beat them, and I think the Sharks will dominate up front. And Buta Chamberlain, if he plays, and he will run the show. Hendricks at scrum off probably. So I'm with you guys. This minus is too low. I won't go like Gavin and say it should be a 30-point win, but I'll go for an 18-19-point win for the Sharks here. So minus here for the Sharks. And is the points out? I didn't see now.
Yes, 49.5.
So Sharks points will be what, 34? No, it's too high. Not even that high probably. But overs on Sharks points here as
30.5. I think I saw 30.5 Sharks points.
Okay.
Sum there, the algorithm is just double the points of the team, subtract by the total, and you'll get the rest. Okay. 22 off, 22 or 11 off. Sorry, it's the team with the minus off the total, and then divide by 2. So it's 37 to choose 18, so 17, 18.
On Glasgow then?
Yes, on the other team, yeah.
Yeah. So for me, minus here. I agree with you guys, and then a smaller fancy on the overs on the Sharks.
Right, Henrik, I'm going to stay with you for the next game. I've got a feeling you're not going to spend as long on this one. It's probably not one of the games I'm excited for this weekend. Cardiff -7.5 against the Dragons and a total points line of 50.5.
Brent, there was a post on the Good for the Game forum early in the week on this one. Was it Brad Breff? I can't remember. I think it was him.
Could have been. I'll go and have a look.
Yeah, and he fancies the Dragons strongly. He got +11 early in the week, and then he went in again on +9. And he mentioned that in this game, the points difference over the years have been like 2 points, 3 points, very close game. And I agree with him. The Dragons, they have been impressive this year so far. So I like the plus here. I make them a chance to win this game as well. And I think it could be a bit of a scrap. So I like the unders and 50.5 points as well.
Right, Oracle, anything for you on this game?
I didn't see bad breath, but I've got to say he's spot on. I saw the same thing as he did. But not only that, I think this is the game that I called rubbish versus rubbish was Cardiff last week. They ended up winning away. The plus on Dragons here is good enough for me. It's been a very close encounter over the last few years. I don't have a lot here. This is like as they say in horse racing, the back end of quartets. This is what you put on your 7-ball multiple or your 6-ball multiple to get that 7th or 8th leg. This is the bottom of the pack for me. You're scraping if you're putting a lot of money on this game. But if you have to and you've got to add it into a multiple, go Dragons plus. I'm not getting into this game too much.
Right,
in fact, I'm probably not getting into it.
Yeah, there's no need. There's so many rugby games, it's impossible to bet on all of them, even though we try our best every weekend to do exactly that. Right, Edinburgh -12.5 against Benetton. Now, Benetton have done very well. Looking forward to hearing what Henrik says about them. Edinburgh well back last week, Gavin. -5.5 into -11.5 against the Lions. You were steadfast all along that the Lions would do the business, and they did. They now start double-digit favourites again, -12.5.
This Italian, I'm going to call them an advertising conglomerate, because I remember going to London in the early 90s, getting to the tube stations and seeing those big adverts. We all knew they were Benetton adverts, and so now they got a rugby team and they've done okay. And I don't know too much about them. I suspect there's a few South Africans playing for them. I can see Henrik's almost laughing or smiling there because I don't know anything about them. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a punt on them. And this is an anti or Edinburgh not so good punt. So I'm going with the other team. And they have done well. I've looked at the results. This is good. There's a bit of value here. I'm going to say, if you're worried about this one, don't get smashed into this. This is a better bet than the Cardiff bet. Sorry, the Ospreys versus Cardiff bet. I'm going to go Benetton 3.5, 7-2, 4-1 about the board. They can win this game. That Edinburgh team was shocking last week. The Lions did okay, but Edinburgh, if you watch the game properly, they looked like they didn't even know where they were. So, I don't know. This 4G, 5G, 6G, who knows how much Chinese influences in the wattage of the pitch. But this Benetton team's done far better than I would have expected them to. I look at the table at the end of the year, and I'm surprised if two Italian teams aren't at the bottom, and 3 or 4 South African teams are at the top. This team has done far better than I expected them to. Edinburgh have done absolutely nothing. Benetton can win this game, and I'm going to put a lonely couple of $100 on Benetton to win the game on the board. Happy to do it. I'll feel nothing if I lose. If I win, well, I'm going to celebrate. No value in Edinburgh.
And Henrik, yourself on this game, are you sticking with your? I never thought I'd say this in past seasons. Your beloved Benetton.
Yeah, Brent. Benetton. This handicap is too big. I agree with Gavin. This one for me at least 7.5 points, 7 points too big. I'd make the Edinburgh 5 points favourites, and even then I would not be comfortable taking the minus on Edinburgh. I've got burnt on them a few times this year on Edinburgh, and I've actually done quite well on Benetton. They are a quality team. They are Italian, but they're obviously the better of the two. But Zebre, they're quite good this year as well. Like Gavin suspected, there are a few South Africans in the Benetton team. Rainer Smith, he's been brilliant for them. Cole Wagner is there. What's the scrum off? The Stormer scrum off. Can't remember his name now, but he's been playing well for them as well. So I like the plus here. And then points wise, they can probably score a few points as well. I would rather take over some Benetton and unders on Edinburgh. The way I like the plus, obviously. But I think the safer bet is just take Benetton the plus here. And like I said, I think this is at least the converted try too high. Edinburgh, thanks, Dina. And Divenhoff is actually playing quite well for them, just like Rainer Smith. Plus here for me, and I like this one quite strong.
Okay, yeah, I must admit I'm also leaning on the plus on Benetton there as well. They've only had the one game on the road. I think they lost on the handicap to Leinster in that game. Let's go to the next game. Henrik, we'll stick with you. I know which way you're going on this because I've seen your posts on the forum and on Twitter. And by the way, if you aren't on the Good for the Game forum, there's a link for it down below. Register and join in the conversation on the rugby. We've also got a link to the newsletter Best Bet there as well. Right, Munster -3.5 against the Blue Bulls, and we've got a points line of 47.5.
Yeah, Brent, Bulls to win the game. Don't worry about the plus. There's no value in the plus actually on a plus that's so small. I think this one opened up 6.5 on the handicap. So the Bulls were 15-10 to win the game. Then they are still 15-10. You can actually get better than 15-10. So just take Bulls to win the game. And you can take Bulls overs here as well. The Bulls will properly bounce back here. I expect a good bounce back from the Bulls. And Munster, they are terrible. They still, and I'm going to sound like a stick record on this, they are still struggling from Johan van Graan, terrible coach. And they are missing Damien de Allende badly. He carried Johan van Graan, and now they don't have Damien de Allende anymore. All over the Bulls here, Brent. I'm very strong on the Bulls, and you can take over some Bulls points as well here.
I like this one. Steve Reed, Catsmug, Oracle circling like a vulture. And I've never seen Oracle nodding his head so furiously. I'm guessing you're with Henrik on this one. This is not going to be one of the 500 Rand bets.
No, I think, is this the last game? This is the last game, right?
Yes, but we got the Ladies World Cup as well that we can get into as well. There's another URC game. Is there or not?
Yeah, Scarlets and
Zebre.
All right. I'm going to tell you, if the Bulls score 10 points here, I'll be surprised. This is minus for me. I know that I've got a lot of mates out there that will hate what I'm about to say. But last week's Rubbish vs. Rubbish has got a different fixture this week. This is it. This is Rubbish vs. Rubbish. And I'm going to say Munster win this game by 4, 5, 6. That's it. They scrape home. Bulls won't win this game. They don't have enough. They've gone there with a different attitude. So, yes, we've got 2 games now. If we find one in the last one, I was going to say to you, what we can do is actually, because we both live in Cape Town at the moment, we could do a case of beer delivered, or if it's 1-1, if we only choose 2, then we find a place and we go drink a case of beers together as a draw. I'm happy with that. But I'm on Munster, and I don't know why. I just am. I'm on Munster. I think they have to come back, and the Bulls have gone to this overseas on a tour, and I honestly think they're not ready for what's happening. I just think that either if you really like the Bulls, I'm going to say go with smaller stakes and hang on, because they could lose this one badly. That's all. It's not a big bet for me. I just think the home team has enough.
Right, there's Johan's treble, which he always puts up each week, and he's got a good strike rate on that one. Henrik,
nice
I'm going to come back to you just quickly on this game, because I'm sure we could make this one of the 500 Rand bets. But can you imagine you're a punter who's listening to Oracle, and he's bullish on Munster, and just as you hit the -3.5, yeah, but just as you hit the -3.5, the other guy go, I'm on Munster here. I've got no idea why, but I'm on Munster, and you've just hit the -3.5 button. I mean,
at least you can hit the plus for a loss of 5% and walk away and you're happy.
Cash out.
he's very confident on Munster, and then he says Munster are going to win by 4 or 5 points.
I just think they're going to have enough. Listen, it's not the best bet of the weekend. It's nowhere near that.
Bulls is the best bet of the weekend.
Yes, I don't know. I'm scared. I'd be scared to back the Bulls.
Yes, are we saying for 3.5 points? So are we putting that as a second leg for you guys?
No, otherwise, the lines was the same. We could do board here if you want. I don't mind.
I'm happy to do board.
Yeah, board. Okay.
If we got something here in the last game, it's a tiebreaker. If not, we play those two. If it's a draw, I'm happy to meet Henrik, whichever dark forest he wants to meet me in, or open space. I'm happy, and we share the case of beers that we drink.
That sounds great, Gavin.
Right, Gav, you finish us off on the URC. Then just let me come in quickly before you do that. What I'm going to suggest then is stay on the show, and we'll just run through the two Bunnings games because we've only got two. And then we'll finish 100%. The show with the World Cup and the Toyota Championship. Right, Scarlets minus 14.5 against Zebre. Gavin.
I'm going to tell you the same thing as I did last week. Zebre can win this game. This Scarlets was part of my rubbish last week. You can go single digit plus here. You can take an 8 or a 9 or a 7. This won't finish within a try. More than likely, Zebre win this game. This Scarlets team has not impressed me. Zebre have. I mean, I know they lost, and it cost me money. It didn't cost me stake last week. Had the Zebre held on at the end and Stormers not scored, I would have got a lot more. But I had a decent weekend. I just think the Zebre team has proved enough that they found something. Another one of those Italian teams. So yes, I'm all over the ITARs this week. This Scarlets team's given me nothing to be minus 14. I don't know. There's too many digits there. In fact, with the point, there's 3. Is too many. Too many.
Right, I must say that Stormers try also cost me because what I've started doing now is I handicap the games, and when the handicaps come out, irrespective of, I take if the games are more 4 or 5 points out from my caps, I take them in a multiple. And last week I had a double, and of course ended on Zebre on the handicap. And yeah, unfortunately the Stormers cost me quite a lot on that one.
That cost the Portugal and Greece trip for my wife. She has to wait another 3 months to go.
Right, Henrik, finish the URC for us here. Scarlets minus 14.5.
Yeah, Brent, the Italian teams on the road almost seems like the French teams on the road. You have to be a bit wary. But Zebre here all the way on the plus side. This is also a game that's converted try too high on the handicap. If Scarlets were 7.5 points favourites here, I wouldn't take the minus. I'd be smallish on the plus on Zebre, and I agree with Farid that Zebre can actually win this game. I like taking, like I said that a lot of times, I like taking on the Welsh teams. So the plus here, pretty confident pick on Zebre on the plus. Even though they're on the road for this one, I think they will give them a hell of a game here, and they might actually win this. And then I saw Dino saying about the unders here. Also have to give credit to the conductor here. He came in early when the points came out, and he was very he got 57.5 points on this one. And he labelled it as his best bet for the weekend, and I agree with him. 53.5 still. I think even if this drops to 50.5, you can still take the unders on this one. I reckon this will be a bit of a scrap again, and Zebre will bring it, and I can't see Scarlets scoring 30 points on this one. So I
thought you were going to stop there, Henrik. I can't see Scarlets scoring. You just had to stop at that.
So I can't see Scarlets scoring 30 points on this one, and I see them scoring 22, 23 points maybe. So all over the unders here on total points, and the plus, obviously. I like the plus a lot than this one.
Right, let's just stick with you then, Henrik, for 2 games, because of course we've got the semi-finals of the Bunnings NPC, and I know you prefer this tournament in the early going. Obviously now the bookies have settled that, but I'm sure you've got a couple of views on the semis here. We've got Wellington minus 5.5. I see they're about 5-10 for the win. Also, the conductor got in very early, grabbed 15-20. I saw on the Good for the Game forum and also on Twitter. That has definitely moved that line in Wellington's direction. We've got a 5.5 handicap and a points line of 49.5.
Yeah, the conductor got a nice price on Wellington to win there. I think he took some -2.5 as well. Wellington used to be a team last few years, like probably last 5 years, that I took on, and I took on quite successfully. But this year they are a different team. They're playing really good rugby. They've got the lug of wood packed away for the season. And Auckland, they've gone backwards. Last week, even though they won, they were not convincing at all. So I'm on the minus here. I like the minus a lot. Of the two semi-finals, this is my stronger fancy of the two. So yeah, minus here for me all the way. I agree with Ferry.
Any thoughts on the points line there of 49.5?
49.5. Yeah, you probably have to go overs. Last week, Auckland's game, it went unders easily in the end, but it was like 20-25 minutes without actually points. But yeah, I have a feeling there might be points in this one, even though it's a semi-final. And 49.5, yeah, you have to go overs, but I'm not as strong as the minus. I'd rather take the minus here than the points.
Right, and Canterbury minus 9.5 against Bay of Plenty.
Yeah, Bay of Plenty, they have been very impressive, not just this year, for a few years now. Quality team, well coached. But yeah, it's tough going against Canterbury. They also a team that I used, like Wellington, that I used to take on previous years, but this year they are the real deal again. Their forwards very strong. Bay of Plenty, they won last week, and in my opinion, they had a bit of luck getting through, even though they are a good side. So I'm leaning minus here. I reckon Canterbury at on the minus, but not nearly as strong as I feel on Wellington.
Right, so that brings us to the end of the Bunnings. So let's go to the Women's World Cup. As I said, if we do have a separate video on it as well, where I talk to Harry Jones, who's got incredible knowledge of the players and certainly spent a lot of time studying up on that. But Henrik, I'll start with you now, and I'm no doubt Oracle will be popping back at some stage. First game, Scotland plus 21.5 against Australia. I think this game opened about 26-27. The money has come for the Scots. And yeah, it does look a big cap. But for me, the problem is Scotland just look like a team who's going to battle to score points. And the question is, can they stop Australia from scoring?
Brent, I didn't watch the games last week, but I watched all the games highlights and a bit of extended highlights on the games. And Scotland forwards, they actually look quite impressive, especially on the driving mauls. So I reckon if they get penalties and they can get close enough, they can score 2 or 3 tries. 2 tries from mauls maybe. So I hear you that the money has come. I think the money has not come enough. There should be a bit of more money coming for Scotland. So I like the plus quite strongly here. Of the all the women's games is probably one of my stronger fancies. I like the plus 21.5, and I reckon this should drop to about 15, 16.5.
But Oracle, you got any views on this game?
I think I went for all the minuses last week, and I had a small couple of bets, but we used to talk in units. I don't even think I hit 1 unit in those games last week. Looking at this particular game, I'm going to say that this is the one that almost landed in a draw, the Scotland game. And Australia were leading 17-0 at halftime, I think, or 15-0 or something like that. I don't
think it was at halftime, but it was certainly after 25, 30 minutes. I think New Zealand scored 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, they were up 17-0 at some point, yes. Wow. I'm going to say you've got to go for the Scottish here, but seriously, don't get stuck in. This is not, you're not building a pension with us. This is fun. Really, if you're scared to put 10 Rand down, I'm saying don't be scared. Go 5 Rand. Just, a lot of bookmakers got a minimum bet of 1 Rand. Just get involved. Just put your 1 Rand to 5 Rand. You'll be happy. I'd go Scottish plus here, but I wouldn't put a lot of money on it.
Right. Well, I'm not going to spend any time converting 1 Rand into euros for those watching from our international viewers.
They might have a problem with minimum bet.
Yeah,
the system might say you've got to spend more.
So let's stick with you for the next game. Also a big handicap. USA beaten by Italy in the opening encounter. Japan took a big hiding against Canada, but was spot on the handicap of 36 points. And here we got the USA minus 21.5. I'll share Harry's views after I've heard both of your views.
Yeah, I think the Americans are probably the way to go here. Just not confident. Americans for me, Japan, no. I know they're in the right time zone and it's their side of the world, but the Americans have done okay. They've done decently in the last few games. It's small bet minus here, but really not confident. Not confident.
Right, Henrik, let's get your views on this one.
Brent, I think USA will beat this easily. Got 10 points to low this handicap. I don't see Japan scoring a lot of points, and I think USA will beat this handicap easily.
Okay, that's where Harry was going. I know you said earlier you purposely didn't watch the show because you didn't want to be influenced coming into the show.
Yeah.
You'll be pleased to know that you guys are very much aligned on that one. I just want to see, Fareed reckons USA a little bit rusty, but they should cover. Let's go to the next game then with you. This is an interesting one, Henrik. We've got France plus 14.5. Started off like a house on fire against South Africa, but then really battled to put them away. I was sort of nodding off during the game in the early hours of the morning. And in the end, although they won by plenty, it certainly wasn't a convincing performance to me. And you got England, who also struggled against Fiji early and then absolutely blasted them, running away with the game. 14.5 here.
Yeah, Brent. The French women, they seem like the French national men's team from a few years back. You don't know what you're going to get from them. So they could really pitch up here and beat England, but it's tough going against England. England, they are the team that should win the World Cup. They're a quality team. But 14.5 just feels too high for a game of the stakes of this game. So the plus for me, yeah. Not as strong as other games, but you should go plus, yeah.
Yeah, interesting. This is just quite funny to listen to you describe the French women's team as the French men's team of old, because Harry never used those words. But while Harry was talking on the show, I was thinking those words. I was exactly like what he was describing. I was thinking, sure, but he's describing the French men's team of a few years ago. And you haven't watched the show, but you and Harry pretty much have described.
I'm going to watch it tomorrow morning.
Yeah, you
Thanks,
can.
I'm going to watch it tomorrow morning.
But I got to tell you, guys, I'm actually quite firm on this one. I like England on the minus. I think England are head and shoulders above the other teams. I wasn't impressed by the fact that France could put South Africa away, so I'm actually leaning towards the minus on this game. Now, Gav, remind me. You haven't spoken on this game yet, hey? There's so many games are getting mixed up. You haven't given us your view on this one.
I have not. It's not much. I'm going to go with the Frogs here. I think plus 14.5 big enough for me. Again, very, very, very small. This is coin stuff. Like when you dig in your wallet and you find coins, this is not a lot of money, honestly. When we get to the semi-final and final and we've seen everything that's happening, this is 12 teams playing over, like 12 weeks. It's crazy. They've spread this tournament out. They could have done with it in 1 week, in 10 days. I don't know. They're stretching it out. I'm going to go with the French. I think they look better and they play better. Plus 14, enough for me.
Right. So I'm opposing both panelists in this game. Very, very interesting indeed. Let's go to the next game, Gavin. We'll stick with you. Italy, who caused the only minor upset really of the opening weekend when they beat the USA. A plus 11.5 against the Canadians.
Because I'm not spending a lot of money here, I'm just going to take the Italians on the board. I'm hoping that they've shaved and don't have any moustaches. I'm going to go with a plus, not plus. I'm going Italy woman on the board here. Bit of value, 3.5 to 1, 7 to 2. I'm happy. That's good enough for me. I don't need a plus here. I don't need to get a win at 9 to 10. They look good. They were impressive. I was happy. And board for me.
Right, I didn't really watch them play last week, but I'm actually leaning towards the Canadians here. Henrik, yourself?
Brent, I just want to tell Gavin that he's underplaying this World Cup. he's speaking like a true bookmaker that has not done his homework on this one, and there's a lot of value and a lot of betting opportunities.
I'm with you, Henrik. I'm with you on this.
So this is a great tournament. Betting wise, the punters love these type of tournaments. Canada, I fancied them last week, and they scraped home on the handicap. If you got in early. They weren't that impressive. And Italy beating USA, they were quite impressive. I hear you like Canada. I saw a comment there from Farid. He likes Canada as well. I'm with Gavin. Yeah, well, Gavin said Italy to win. I'm just on the plus. I reckon Italy can give Canada a good game, yeah. So yeah, I'm on the plus.
And just we haven't.
Henrik, I just need to explain my situation here. I have a very impressionable 19-year-old, almost 20. I'm trying to tell him that he can't marry a woman rugby player or an MMA fighter. I'm just trying to keep the what's the word? I'm trying to keep the impressions up here. So yes, they're in earshot. I just can't promote women's rugby at this point. My 19-year-old son might get swayed to the one side. Nothing wrong with women's rugby. I just prefer a grandson or grandchild from someone that's not comes from a rugby family. That's all. Otherwise, I'm happy.
I don't know how we got onto that topic, but thanks for stepping in there, Gav. I'm sure. But okay,
he'll get beaten up otherwise.
Yeah, I just want to ask Henrik, though. Chris just mentioned total points if you get anything under 50. I mean, I was talking with Harry about this. I mean, total points lines are traditionally set a bit lower because of the conversions and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But aside from that, Henrik, what I find is that, a team doesn't just move from one side of the field to the other side of the field as quickly because they don't maybe have the kicks and that. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be looking for unders opportunities this weekend. What's your strategy, if any, on points?
Yeah, Brent, 100%. You have to lean unders on these games, and especially on this game. I agree with that one from Chris. Anything like 45, 46 as well. I'd be very confident on unders here. And then most games, you have to go unders as your go-to bet, and just look for overs opportunities on prices that are not priced correctly or mismatches on games. But yeah, definitely unders most games. Yeah, because like you said, the conversions especially, and then also they can't kick along with the general play and the penalties and stuff like that. But yeah, that seems like a good game for unders there.
Right, we'll stick with you for the next game. Now, Wales delivered the newsletter best bet last week. I went for it because everybody was so confident on Wales, and they started off like a house on fire against Scotland. I thought they would get absolutely romp home. In the end, Scotland played a good second half, and Henrik took a penalty after the hooter to take away Gavin's draw there, and obviously deliver, very importantly, our bets there. The money certainly came for the Welsh, but gee, I was difficult to know what to make of them. Now, they play a New Zealand side that came back from 17-0 down to almost beat a 27-point handicap. But 46.5 is a lot. What are we doing here?
Yeah, Brent, and that penalty at the end, Wales versus Scotland, that was quite a good penalty for the girls. That was not an easy kick.
And it was a substitute. She put her hand up from what I could see, and she said, give me a go. Brilliant kick.
Yes, and I didn't expect her to get that. That was a very good kick. And then you've got New Zealand. They're now coached by Wayne Smith, great coach. I have very high regard for him, and they've been very poor the last year or so. And like you said, they almost came back to beat that handicap. They had 2 missed conversions, last 2 tries. 46.5 in the World Cup. For me, too high, especially with Wales. They are also full-on professional women's team. It's just too high. In World Cups, the teams bring their best, and yeah, I'm quite strong on this 46.5. I think this is at least 10, 12, 15 points too high.
Interesting. A few of the boys in the live chat, Stephen and Chris, both suggesting that Wales will take a hammering, and well, they might. I must say, New Zealand, for me, I think I was on over 6.5 New Zealand tries, and I was sitting with some family watching it. We'd all just woken up on our weekend away, and everyone thought my money was absolutely done. But thankfully, they did storm back to get those points. I'm uncertain on the handicap. I'll probably be looking at the points or tries market. But let's go to Gav on this one, because Gav, I mean, when you see a handicap like this, I know that generally speaking, you're leaning to the plus.
Yeah, Brent, we had this discussion in 2007 when France played Namibia in the Men's World Cup Rugby. And I remember you asking me, you said to me, this handicap's 80 points or 81 or 78, or it was around about 80. And I said to you, Brent, I've got a rule. 80 points, too high. I have to go for the plus. Doesn't matter who's playing who. They got in this tournament, I'm happy. I'm on the plus. I'd rather watch the game knowing that I've got a big chance versus, what the FBI always say. They only have to make one mistake, and we've got them, and we can make 100 mistakes. The reality is that day France beat Namibia 84-0, and I lost my bet on my 80 points too much. And I'm going to halve that for the women. I'm going to say, you give me 46. I know I sort of deviated last week, but this is too high, way too high. This is, as Hendrik said, this is a professional team. This is not, 15 chicks had been in a pub last week, decided to jump onto a field. This is a rugby team. 46 too much. If they beat it, sure they can. But again, we go back to don't put a lot of money on this. New Zealand didn't impress me in that first half against Australia last week. In fact, I thought they might have had the wrong winner. That was odd to me. But yeah, it's too much. 46 too much.
Right, let's where did I find this now? Lost my place on here. Let's go to the last game, Gavin. I'm going to start off with you. I really battled to handicap this game. I didn't actually have a go at it, but I was impressed by certainly Fiji's backline against England, but South Africa's pack surprised me, and I thought we were quite well coached last week. You've got a handicap here -7.5.
Some of them ran out of leave. They had to go back to work this week, so South Africans won't be full strength because some of them had to go back to work to earn a living. They're not professionals. I'm on minus Fiji here again. Not small, not a big bet. Very, very small. This is. I mean, I don't know if you saw that South African women's 7 coach saying that nobody's interested in South African rugby. I wouldn't be surprised if South Africa South Africa loses game by 20 plus. We're out of our depth here. We're the worst out of the 12 teams. Fiji will beat us. They're bigger than us. Probably 8-10 kilograms per person bigger. I don't know. They'll beat us.
Interesting. I'm looking forward to Hendrik's point of this. I'm going to tell you that I'm not saying I'm confident in South Africa, but I like a bit of what I saw against France. Just before
Hendrik says anything, I'm not interested in allocating this to those other two. Thank you. This is not worth it.
Yeah, Brent. Yeah, Gavin is telling us the whole time that we should not spend too much money or try money on this tournament, and then he comes up with the gem like telling us that the South African team, some of the players came home for work, stuff that we don't know.
Put a lot of money on it though.
He has more info on team news than we do. I also saw the comments by Paul Delport, the coach. This is well priced in my opinion. Tough one. South Africa can win this game actually, but you probably have to go for the minus here, like most of the comments say as well. So I'm also like Evan. I'm calling the minus here, but I probably won't even have money on this one, to be honest, because South Africa can win this game, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's going to be a fascinating clash of styles there. I guess as we wind down towards the end of the show, we've got to just find. Well, I suppose it doesn't matter if we don't find that third game. We can have the draw with the 2 games there for you boys. Let's just cover one other game which I picked up on the weekend, and it was the Toyota Challenge. And Hendrik, I'll start with you. I don't know if you've got any views on this. I mean, I'm not taking this tournament too seriously because you can barely get a bet on it anyway. But minus 22.5 Cheetahs against the USA National A, whatever that means.
Actually saw the USA team. Actually saw the Cheetahs team as well. I saw both the teams that got announced for this one on Twitter. See, Marcel Brachy is in this team. I've always been a bit of a fan of his. Strangely enough, and a lot of guys. I know your mate Brendan O'Connell.
He couldn't stand himself.
But I've always been a bit of a fan of Brachy. The Cheetahs, they've picked a decent team. Ron Pino on the bench as well Franz Stein there starting there. I think 22.5. The Cheetahs, they've been quite disappointing at times in this tournament. The first game, they beat the Bulls when I fancied the Bulls. But after that, they haven't been great for me. I don't know, Brent. Probably minus. It's tough to make a case for the USA national A team. Yeah, no opinion really on this one. Sorry.
No problem at all. Gavin, I mean, are you in a similar position on this game? Anything on this? I must say, I thought I'd be interested in this tournament, but I just haven't. Even the camera work hasn't been great as far as I'm concerned. So no real interest for me on a busy weekend.
I got involved in that first game when they played that was a Griquas team playing at home at home. They were the home team in Bloemfontein against the Irish. And they looked like they were in the game for the first 15, maybe 18 minutes and got absolutely thumped after that. So, yes, I also lost interest in the tournament. But USA National A, I don't know too much about that. They if you take the A away, they probably get beaten by 23. So, yeah, this would be a 1 unit, maybe a half to 1 unit bet on the Cheetahs minus. They've got to get something. They've got to practice or get some sort of game time before they get involved in that Challenge Cup. And I think they'll be okay there because it's a 2-2 system. They've got 2 at home in Bloemfontein, 2 away in Europe. So, yeah, this is they're trying to get as much as they can. And I mean, seriously, how deep are the Americans? Their first team is rubbish. Their second team has got to be, I don't know, 0.10 of that. Cheetahs can win this game by 50. But don't put a lot of money on it. Seriously, don't. Just don't. This is a warning. Like you get those warnings at the bank and everywhere else, this is a warning. Do not put a lot of money on this, but go minus.
Anyone watching tonight's show for the first time could be forgiven for thinking Gavin is a responsible gambler. I'm going to show you this is highly out of character and his granny's pension's been thrown down many a time. Henry, quick one, man. Australia A against Japan 15. Have you looked at that at all?
Before we get to that, Brent, one last thing on this the challenge. Gavin now said don't put a lot of money on it. The problem is you can't put a lot of money on it because the bookmakers don't allow more money on this. There's very few bookmakers pricing up on this Toyota challenge, and
because they listened to me, they said don't put a lot of money on. You're right, they won't.
They've got limited amount per market on this one, so it's very tough to get bets on for this. So I struggled in the first week to get bets on. Few creative ways to get bets on, like you guys know how you should do it. And after that, I didn't bother. I lost badly on. No, not badly. I couldn't get a lot of money on, but I was on the request. And after that, I didn't worry about it because it's such a hassle to get bets onto this tournament. So they should just finish. And no really interest for me in the challenge anymore. I don't even watch the games anymore. That Australia A game, what's the handicap there? I've no idea.
I don't know either. Darren, maybe if you could let us know what the cap is. I'll have a quick look.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I haven't got an opinion on Japan. Japan 15 shouldn't be too bad because they've got a pretty good league over there. Australia A shouldn't be too bad either. But yeah,
it's almost a choice game by the looks of it. Yeah, it's basically a choice game.
Is it in Australia? Because Australia it'll probably be in Japan.
To me, the bookmakers got Japan first, so it might be Japan.
What time is the game? Early morning our time, then it should be in.
11:30. So it should be in Australia. 11:30. Probably either.
Australia to win the game, but Brent, there's much better games.
There's much better games. I agree. Well, let's get on to the best bets. I see the time has flown by. We've really enjoyed the show. Great rugby to talk about. And Henrik, I'm going to start with you with your best bets for the weekend. If you can narrow it down a bit for us.
Let me quickly look again. Well, obviously the Bulls. I like the Bulls a lot. Bulls to win. That's my best bet of the weekend. And the rest in the URC. Sorry for not looking at the camera. I'm looking at
that's fine.
The other laptop. I like the unders in the one that the conductor highlighted the last game.
Zebre game, the Zebre Scarlets.
Yes, and this on that one, I like that. Yes, Scarlets Zebre, I like that quite a bit. And then Dragons to beat Cardiff, I like. But yeah, Bulls to win was strong, the strongest one, and then I like the USA in the Women's World Cup on the minus as well against Japan. That's quite a strong fancy for me.
Right, Chris just saying, any tips for staying awake through these World Cup games? Chris, I must tell you, that's my problem as well. I was watching, I think it was the England game, and I dozed off, and they scored about 40 points in 20 minutes while I was having a rest. So I did battle to stay awake.
Sorry, Ulster as well to win. I like Ulster quite strong. Yeah.
Right. So the two bets that you're going against Gavin there. Darren's best bets. He's going Bulls, Ulster minus 2.5, and Stormers halftime, full time for him. And let's get Oracle's best bets to finish the show.
He said he was falling asleep there. If he's managed to do an hour and 10 minutes with us, seriously, he can live through anything. Anyway, Henrik, I've actually devised something while you were talking. I was thinking about it. Listen, my best bet is the Sharks minus, but I'm going to go with Henrik on the Lions Bulls double. What I've realized looking at the total points, and you can have another look if you're not certain or if you see it a different way. But I suspect by looking at what the bookmakers have come up with, the Lions and the Bulls are expected to score the same amount of points or 1 point out in their respective games. So I might do something, what we used to call a mythical bet in the 90s, and just play you Lions versus Bulls straight up. Whatever the Lions score versus whatever the Bulls score. Never mind their actual results in their match. Straight up, if it's a draw, it's tie no bet. If the Lions win, I win. If the Bulls win, you win. So in other words, can the Bulls score more in their game versus the Lions score more in my game? That's an offer. Otherwise, we go the handicaps versus the handicaps or board versus board. I'm happy either way. Your choice.
Yeah, but the Lions, they're playing at altitude and they're playing off 2 o'clock afternoon. We kick off much more conducive to points, in my opinion. So that
give me a handicap then. 6. Must the Lions score 6 more than the Bulls? 5. Give me a number. Let's go. Let's do this. It's better because you can still win and I can still win.
So can I get a plus on the Bulls then on that?
On points, yes. Lions versus Bulls.
What's your line?
6.
I'll take the plus then.
6 Tino bet.
Yes, that's good.
So you get 5. You win. I need 7 or more.
Perfect.
It's as simple as that, eh? Whatever the Lions score in their game versus whatever the Bulls score. Case of beers, you're happy.
I remember when
in fact, it's not 6 Tino bet. If it's 6, we're joining up and we're drinking this 24 beers together.
Perfect.
See that we've already gone for quite a long show. I'm going to add a little bit to it. And I remember markets used to price up. I can't remember was it when you were at World Sport or Hollywood. You used to price.
No, it was Atlantic Sports Bet in the beginning. We used to do mythical bets. We did batsman versus batsman in different games. It was great. Yeah. It was fantastic.
No, I like the idea, but I remember you also used to have a bet where you said you'd count every kick as if it's been landed.
Yes.
This is a conversion.
All kicks to count, it was called. All kicks count.
Yeah. And why don't we get more bets than like that these days? The bookmakers are lazy.
Yeah, they're not all lazy. I'm not. But Brent, I want to tell you, if you remember the 2013 Lions tour to Australia, all kicks to count, Australia win.
I remember that, actually. I do. Yeah. Anyways, lads, that brings us to the end of a great show. So much betting this weekend. I'm hell of excited. And yes, unlike Gavin, I'm saying let's fire into the World Cup. I'm absolutely looking forward to those games. And I'm going to be looking for some serious unders play. We'll be posting those bets in the forum, of course. Let me thank my guests, starting with you, Gavin, the Oracle Cohen. Good to have you on the show, mate, and have a great weekend.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
And then thanks to the Undertaker. We look forward to some big winners coming out from you over the weekend as well.
Thanks, Brent. Yeah, great being on the show, especially with you two guys. And yeah, great interacting with the guys. Love talking betting. And yeah, as always, the guys are welcome to interact on Twitter and on the forum. Yeah, I like chatting betting. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Dino just mentioning some of the viewers look like bots.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
There was something like
hang on, that was all my girlfriends. Why'd you kick them all?
I was going to say, actually, given our audience's fancies, I think we should actually have left that on, but I thought I better put a bit of end to that one. But anyway, guys, thanks very much. Thanks to all the boys in the live chat. Absolutely quality as usual. And we'll see you Well, just to mention to the guys who do enjoy the Gallagher Premiership, at the Crow Tips and I, or at the Crow Tips, will definitely be doing a show tomorrow at 1:30 for that one. And otherwise, we'll see you next week for the Handicap Rugby Chat.